Hello, I'm Father Gary, and welcome back to Armed with Faith. I'm thrilled that you're here with us again today. Today's a topic that is a hot topic in the country, but I'm going to take a different spin on it and look at it from a different angle because we're watching a lot of people come into the Orthodox Church. A lot of other priests are talking about the influx of people coming into the Orthodox Church and how the Orthodox Church is growing from what we call converts. And it's really exciting to see. It's happening here at the Cathedral in Los Angeles as well. Very excited to see it. Lots of new people coming in, lots of non-Greeks that are coming here, which is what the church is supposed to be doing. The church is for everyone. The word Greek in front of it just signifies what archdiocese we're part of, right? So you don't need to be Greek to be in the Orthodox Church. You don't need to be Roman to be a Roman Catholic. Okay, so we're all here. But the spin I want to take on it is how we that were born into the faith kind of take it for granted, kind of just have it and just kind of use it as a cultural crutch rather than an opportunity to grow spiritually and to understand the beauty that we've inherited, right? It's a beautiful church. I just gave a tour to 3 Protestant pastors, Baptist, Lutheran, and an Episcopalian. Pastors that were visiting from other parts of LA, and were commenting on how beautiful the church is. And it is. The cathedral's amazing. I'm blessed to be back here, to be serving at the parish that I grew up at. But I wasn't born a priest, and I wasn't born with a huge appreciation for the church. I was involved in the church. I was part of the community. I was an altar boy. I was on the basketball team. I was part of Greek dance. I loved summer camp. It's actually, summer camp is where I met my wife. So all of those things were great, but my belief was shallow, very shallow. I would say that I came to church more for social aspects than I did for wanting to be educated in my faith or wanting to grow my faith. I actually remember having an argument with a priest, and I said, how can you have a God that lets evil happen in the world and believe in him and preach him and do all this? And so, like I said, I wasn't born a priest. There came a day, though, that just clicked for me. And I had a calling, I had an epiphany. But that road wasn't overnight. It was a long, arduous, difficult calling to accept and to answer. But what I want to talk about is the beauty that we have that we sometimes neglect, that we take for granted, that we feel is always going to be there, right? You look at this beautiful church, and you think, oh, it's always been there. I've always driven by Normandy and Pico. It's always there. But you know what? It's here because our ancestors came from their country and wanted to establish their faith here in the new country. They didn't assimilate when it came to faith. They did in many other ways, business and education and all of that. When it came to their faith, they said, no, we need to build Orthodox churches. We need to build the churches that we know, right? And they wrote back home, and they got bishops to send priests over here, and eventually they started, the archdiocese. They started the seminary, all these things, right? And we have an established church in America now. Our ancestors easily could have become Catholic. They could have become Protestant of some kind. They could have said, forget it, we'll go to church when we go back home, to the old country. But here they established these churches. And do we invest into the beauty that we've inherited? Is it something that we are investing in? There's a gem here. It's a gem regardless of whether you go to a cathedral like this one or you go to a rural church, in the farmland somewhere. The Orthodox Church is such a beautiful thing that I think that we need to recalibrate. That we need to look at ourselves again and wonder, am I living up to the potential of my ancestors' desires? Because we have, in many ways, done that with education and business, become very successful when it comes to that. My mom was a hairdresser, my dad was an exterior painter, and put me and my brother and my sisters through school, and we're all successful in our own rights and our own vocations and the things that we do, but obviously worked hard to get us there. They also worked hard to get us to be a church, right? And church was important growing up. Like I said, I wasn't born a priest. I wasn't serious about the church until I was older and it finally clicked for me. But I'm wondering about those that haven't been around for a while, that Sunday mornings don't mean anything more than maybe getting up, making pancakes and watching football, right? Or going to Denny's or finding a garage sale somewhere, rather than got to be at church. So much of our time is taken up by our children's sports, so maybe that's what you're doing, and that takes up, time. But I don't know if anybody's ever called their kids traveling baseball coach when their kid gets depressed. You're probably going to want to call somebody of faith. Maybe not the priest, but maybe somebody from the church that you know. But how do we bring other people back? How do we get those that used to be part of the church to graft themselves back into the church? How is it that somebody who never knew what the Orthodox Church was and opened a book one day and saw something and said, hey, I want to visit there, and comes and visits and falls in love with it, and then now dedicates their life to being part of the church, right? How does that happen when we come in as kids day in and day out, and it just seems like it's something that we do because our grandmother or our mother told us to be, right? I mean, I can tell you that, like I said, I've said it several times already in the few minutes that I've been speaking, that I wasn't born a priest, and I wasn't always serious about church. All my life, I wanted to be a filmmaker. I wanted to be a screenwriter and a producer. I wasn't crazy about being a director because everybody wants to direct, right? I mean, even right now, I feel like I want to direct. Everybody wants to direct. But I was going to be a screenwriter and a producer and do all that. But I met a really cute girl at summer camp, and I asked her out, and she could never find time to go out with me. And so one night she said, today's Tuesday. She said, yeah, I'm going to go to Bible study at the Cathedral, Father John Backus. And I was like, well, if she's going to Bible study, I'll go to Bible study. So I came out to Bible study, and I sat there with Father John Backus at Bible study, and the scriptures were opened up in a way that I'd never read them before. It was like, wow. And then church fathers, and then this. And so I started reading it, and it was like, wow. It was like scraping away the layers of dirt that had come over like a beautiful painting that sits in your attic for years, and realize how beautiful this thing is, and it's been sitting up there collecting dust. And I got it out, and I started cleaning it up. I was reading more and more, and I had a calling. And like I said, it wasn't a calling where it came like that and lightning struck, and I knew it was a lot of wrestling with faith and back and forth. And is this part of what I should be doing? Is it not what I was doing? What should I be doing? Who should I be doing it with? Thank God, with the girl that I went into Bible study with, I ended up marrying. She's now my wife after almost 30 years. Wow, it's been a long ride. But one thing that she said, it was amazing, was I said to her when we were engaged, I said, before we get married, I said, I need you to know that one day I might want to be a priest. And she said, without hesitation, she said, why don't we just go to seminary after the wedding and spend time there where you can study? And if it's something that you feel you want to do, then you're done. If it's not, you don't. And you just get to learn more about the church. And I was like, really? People do that? I thought I got married, I had to work and had to, do. And she was like, no, we'll figure it out. And we did. We went to the seminary as a married couple. We called it a 4-year honeymoon. We had our 2 boys there. But what I'm trying to say is that I realized the value of it. I realized the depth of what it is. I understand what the Eucharist means. I understand what the sacraments are about. I understand when somebody's depressed and they don't get it and they feel that God's abandoned them. I get that. I realize it. And so many people have struggled, and I talk about my struggle with my calling, but so many other people have struggled with their faith, about what faith to follow. And here we were handed this and said, here, go. And we say, oh, it's a good Greek festival. Oh, it's Palm Sunday, I'll go to church. Oh, it's Easter, I got to go to church and get my candle. Got to do this. But you build a relationship with Christ through the Eucharist. You build a relationship with your community through the Eucharist. You build a relationship through all of these things. And yeah, basketball, Greek dance, camp. All of those things are still important because it builds community. All of those things are great. But the message needs to be about Christ and his love. And when a kid gets that, when I see somebody realize that and get it, it's like there's nothing more valuable in the world than that one moment. When I can see a kid who goes, oh, yeah, all right, I don't have to do X, Y, Z to inherit A, B, C. It's just a free gift. Come and take it. Come and get it. Come and be part of it. And I wonder if there's something more that we clergy, maybe you can send me an email, something more that we clergy can be doing or something that we should stop doing when I see people that are not ethnically Orthodox, that come from other, traditions and other ethnicities, and they enter the Orthodox Church. I'm fascinated because I wonder how they found it and how they fell in love with it. And then I realize the beauty that we've been given. And I wonder where I would be without the church. I mean, seriously, where would I have been if there weren't a summer camp? Where would I have been if there wasn't a youth basketball team? What would I be doing now if there wasn't a Greek dance group? And this is what my friends were. We'd gather, right? And if we can look back on those days and see great joy and growth in ourselves, why don't we want that for our kids? Why don't we want that again? And there's so many people, and I love everybody that comes in because everybody that's new that comes in wants to, talk about the Orthodox Church and talk about the Jesus prayer, talk about this, talk about, how do I fast this year, Father? How do you do this? It's like, well, slow down, don't eat all of it at one time. Savor it, right? And then I realized that, wow, have I been savoring it? Like I've had this beautiful steak in front of me my whole life, and this guy wants to chow it down, and I've just been like, steak, just lamb steak, right? But here we have this beauty. Every priest's desire is for people to encounter Christ. But if you don't walk into the church, if you don't come, then there's nobody encountering Christ. And this is just a message to all of the people that just kind of used to come because they were told to come and now don't anymore because they don't have to. I'm telling you to come back, go back, re-engage. If you don't understand it, ask the questions. There's so much more here than we could ever have acknowledged. And other people are finding it. We need to come back and realize the beauty that they're finding. We've had the steak and they're finding the steak and they're like, wow, you have this steak. Why aren't you eating the steak? And so come back, come see it, come rejoin it, come just poke your head in and take a look and be like, all right, let me see what this is about. What have I missed these last 20 years? What have I been hung up on? And if you're not Orthodox and you're watching this, know that there are plenty of people in the pews that had no clue about the smells and the bells. And they sat through it and somebody tapped them on the shoulder and said, I'll explain it to you. So come in, come and watch it, come and see it. You're always welcome. You don't need to go to an Orthodox church, but go to a church, find Christ, invest yourself in Christ. And hey, if you were born Orthodox and you grew up in the Orthodox Church and you haven't been back for a while, come check us out at stsophia.org.